Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is a response to the natural man cannot comprehend the spiritual things like reincarnation. Now, Elder Pastor did a video yesterday concerning vocab Malone and a debate that he was having with this Israelite. I'm not sure where he was from, but the guy was cutting vocab with the scriptures, and he just vocab just couldn't get it. And the thing with vocab is he is not looking to understand the truth, so that if we convince him, he'll turn his life around, and come to the Lord, which he's an Edomite unless he proves otherwise. But what he's doing, he's trying to understand what we are teaching so that he can teach against it. There's a difference between a person that's sincere or sincerely trying to learn, and there's a difference between someone that's just trying to find out what you know so that they can try to come up or formulate a plan to overthrow what you believe in. And that's the pure definition of gaslighting. Gaslighting is not adding fumes or fire to somebody's, speech. It's pretty much throwing questions at you to make you, think, so you can doubt your position on what you believe, pretty much. And then Elder Apostle Gabar did a video, The Natural Man Cannot Comprehend the Spiritual Things Like Reincarnation. And the thing about it is, when you look at the word reincarnation and you break the word down itself, it pretty much gives you what is meant there. Just bear with me. A precept just came to mind. Let me just grab that so I don't forget. I hope that it's either... No, it's... Just bear with me 1 second. All right, so, and when you break the word down, it's very simple to understand. It's not a hard concept. And what he does, vocab does, he plays semantics. Because the one individual was breaking down reincarnation. And then he had another video with Gadaliah. And Gadaliah was breaking it down. But then vocab, he plays stupid. And he tries to say, do rocks come back? The Lord can do that if he wants to. But a rock is an inanimate object. A rock doesn't have a spirit like man or like animals. There's a difference there. A rock is a rock, animal is an animal, a person is a person. All right? So when you look at the word reincarnation itself, right, it says, fact of repeated incarnation. Repeated means that's the re part in reincarnation. And the word incarnate is state of being embodied anew. From back again, incarnation meaning a new embodiment. Because when you break the word incarnate down, the in part is to go in. So what goes back in? And then the word there, carnation, is flesh. So what goes back into the flesh? The spirit. Now, why is that? Because when, Eve, then Adam sinned, that was the, sentence upon all flesh, that they would die. Now, when you die, it's the body that decomposes. The spirit doesn't decompose. The spirit goes back to the one who gave it, which is Yahweh, which is the Father of spirits. Ecclesiastes 12:7 says, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it. And when that spirit goes before the throne of the Most High, it gets judged. And whatever that judgment that is given to that spirit has to play out that judgment when it comes back on the earth the next time. Usually every 3 to 4 generations, but it could go longer depending on how the Lord wants to set it up. It's the Most High, Yahweh, is in control. All right, He's the one that sends the spirits down as often as He wants. He could send it every 3 or 4 generations, or He could wait longer. It's all up to the Lord and what He wants to do. All right, so building back on this word reincarnation, back in the flesh. So what goes back in the flesh? The spirit. All right, and this is why the Apostle Peter, he asked the Lord, we gave up everything. What are we going to receive? What is the reward? This is the disciples' reward. Matthew 19:27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? Right? Because eventually we know that all of the apostles died. They all died, including the Apostle Paul, Timothy, all of them back then. And they didn't receive the promise back then. Abraham didn't receive the promise. Moses didn't receive the promise. Isaac didn't receive the promise. Jacob didn't receive the promise. The 12 patriarchs didn't receive the promise. Joshua, Caleb didn't receive the promise. King David, King Solomon, King Saul, all of the Israelites from back then, till the ones that have died thus far have not received the kingdom of heaven. But they're waiting to receive it. And that's why every time they come back on the earth, right, they come back in their lot. Let's get 2 precepts on that. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. And then let's go from there to Isaiah 34. So let's go backwards. Excuse me. 1 Corinthians 14 and 32. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Because if someone was a prophet in the past, they will be a prophet in this time. There's no such thing as, you were a prophet in one life and then you come back the next life as a thug. And then the next time you come around, you come back as a murderer or come back as something. No. One incarnation, you're a true prophet. The next incarnation, you're a false prophet. It doesn't work like that. Everything is done. As you read further down, it says, let all things be done decently and in order. So the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets, meaning they will come back in their lot. And this is why in Isaiah 34:17 it says, and he hath cast a lot for them. For who? For the prophets. The Lord cast a lot. This is why each individual has their proper gift given to them. This is why when the examples we give from Isaiah all the way to Malachi, you see the different lots that were given, or the different lines that were given to each one of them. Some had more, some had less, some had medium. But guess what? That 100, 60, and 30-fold are all part of the same body. It says, and he hath cast a lot for them, and his hand hath divided it unto them by line. Right? It depends on the severity and the intensity of the spirit that the Lord gave to that prophet. They shall possess it forever. See? So anytime they would come on the scene, they would have that gift in whatever capacity the Lord gave each individual. From generation to generation shall they dwell therein, because the spirit never dies. The spirit is pure fire. It goes back, when the flesh dies, goes back to the Father, but the Father sends that spirit down again onto the earth. All right, so going back to Matthew 19:27, then answered Peter and said unto them, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? Because Yahushua understood that they were all going to go back in the spirit world eventually. That's why he said what he said here, because he knew that they weren't going to receive the promise of the kingdom back then, because the disciples before they became apostles didn't understand that. This is why Peter and them asked him, Lord, will thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? Because they were waiting for that reward, but they didn't understand that it would come later. It says, and Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration. when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory. You also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, this word generation, regeneration, is the same, it's synonymous with the word reincarnation. And even when you go into breaking the word down, in the Greek, it explains it. The word is palingenesia, right? Which is a compound word. And you have it here, root word, palin and genesis, or genesis, right? Palin is anew, again, like the part re. Palin, re, again. And Genesis, right? It says source, origin, a book of one's lineage, an example in which his ancestry or progeny are enumerated, used of birth, nativity. So when you put the word together, regeneration is rebirth or reborn again or born again. And that's what it speaks about. That's what it is. New birth, reproduction, renewal, recreation, regeneration, because they've been reincarnated back into the flesh. And it's not that hard to understand. But the thing is that these different Christian groups, so-called Christian groups, they have a script to keep by. A plantation / Renaissance Christian, world view that they have to keep to, and they're going to do whatever they got to do to protect that, that false narrative, that pretty much that false white supremacist Renaissance Christianity. That's what they're protecting. All right. So even when you break the word down, regenerate or regeneration, it goes into the same thing. Regeneration, regeneration, of regenerating or producing anew. Originally spiritual, also a resurrection from the Old French regeneration, directly from late Latin, a being born again. Past participle, makeover, generate again, from re again. And generare, bring forth, beget, produce. Genus, race, back race or back to kind, back to birth. Reincarnation. These are synonymous one with the other. All right. The word generate, gene is sperm. To be back, to be born again. And you come back through your line. And when you're reincarnated, you're not reincarnated. One reincarnation you're a man, the next one you're a woman. No, it doesn't work like that. You have masculine spirits, you have feminine spirits that come on the earth. And those that play the part of the masculine will always be masculine. Those that play the part of the feminine will always be feminine. Because the Lord created two from the beginning, male and female created he them. So if he created male and female, why, the Lord said he's not the author of confusion. Why would he have a man come as a man and then the next life he'll come as a woman? When he created male and female, created he them. All right. So the reason why vocab can't get it, because he's not a spiritual man, as the elder apostle Gabar was going into his lesson. Now when we read Matthew 16, there was a lot of talk about Yahushua and, who he was and the miracles that he did and was doing. And it got to the point where it couldn't be hidden anymore. So there was always talk, whether it was among the people, trying to figure out who he was, whether it was among the wicked Pharisees in them, trying to, find a way that they can destroy him. Whatever the case may be, he was the talk of the town, so to speak. Right? So when he had when he was in public, he would speak mostly in parables. When he was with his disciples, he would speak to them plainly, explain parables to them. So in this case here, he was with the disciples, and he said, when Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I am, that I the Son of Man am? And this right here, as well as the other precepts that Apostle Tahar goes into on a regular, dealing with reincarnation, Malachi 4, Matthew 11, Matthew 17, that should just end the argument. But what you have to understand is when you watch vocab is not interested in facts. Vocab is interested in speaking in circles to confuse you so that he can reinsert again the same message and the same thought that he was going to come with. Because no matter how many times you cut him, he's going to come with the same argument. That is the supreme definition of insanity. He keeps repeating the same thing over and over again, looking for a different response. Okay? So it says, and they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, right? Some Elias, which Elias was, had been gone long ago. And others Jeremias, which Jeremiah had been dead a long time ago. Or one of the prophets, which had been dead a long time ago. So why would they say that he's either Jeremiah or one of the prophets or these men that were dead? Because they understood about reincarnation. So if reincarnation is not biblical, why would they give this response? Why would they say, oh, he's Jeremiah or one of the prophets? You got Obadiah, you got Isaiah, you got Ezekiel. So why would they say that? If they were long dead, what does that mean? That means that this was this particular prophet that had been dead a long time ago coming back in the reincarnation, back in the flesh as a different individual, but the same spirit. This is why Luke said that, John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah, because it was the spirit of Elijah that was in him. And it's just that simple. But, when we read the scriptures, you have what's called stumbling blocks. And like the Apostle Peter said, those that are unlearned and unstable wrestle as they do the other scriptures to their own destruction. So that's why sometimes you read certain things and it seems like, oh, wait a minute, But it's not, it's just that those are stumbling blocks. And the ones that are not led by the Spirit are going to go and fall and be destroyed by those stumbling blocks. So the point is here, why would they say that the Lord is, one of the prophets that had already been dead if reincarnation is not biblical? And see, these are things that they don't touch. They just keep going around in circles. And you'll notice every time you hit them with the point, then you go to another point and go to another point, they'll circle right back around to the same bullshit that they were saying before when they got cut. You see? Because that's their thing. Just keep on saying it over and over again until they finally accept it, because that's how Esau does. He wears people down. And he saith unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the anointed, the Son of the living power. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And obviously the Lord is not dealing with vocab, because if he was, he would understand the very simple concept, at least, of reincarnation. And there's many examples. Like there's an example in the book of John which shows you that the apostles themselves understood, reincarnation. Now, the moral here is that the reason why the man was born blind was so that the Most High, through his son Yahushua, can be glorified in him healing him. But the conversation that took place prior to that being revealed was St. John 91. And as Yahushua passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. So he was born blind. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? So if he was born blind, when would he have been able to sin? And why would they ask this question? Because they understood about reincarnation. You see? Now, the point is that he was born blind to glorify the Most High through Yahushua. But the point is, why did they ask this question? So, and how can the man have sinned if he was born blind? When did he sin to receive the punishment of being born blind? And another argument that they bring up is that that when they asked John the Baptist if he was Elijah, he said no. And the reason why he said no is because he doesn't remember. He didn't remember. Ecclesiastes 1:9, the thing that had been is that which shall be. And the thing is speaking about the spirit. The spirit never dies. It's the flesh that dies. That was the sentence upon all flesh. And this is why when the kingdom is established, we will be changed. You know, these corruptible bodies will put on the incorruptible bodies. We will be changed. You know, we'll get a super upgrade. You know, hearts changed, laws inserted, you know, flesh changed, and, you know, live forever. But now it's the flesh dies. It says the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There's a term called history repeats itself. And why is that? Because it's the same people coming back doing the same things. It says, is there anything whereof it may be say, see this is new? Yeah, no newborn babies, none of that. The flesh is new, yes, but their spirit is not. It says, it hath been already of old time. See, that spirit has already been here before, which was before us. You see, and this is why there were, let's go to Numbers real quick, 14 and 18. It says, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, right? Because everybody receives their sentence. Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. Why? Because that's when they would come back. Because when we go to Ezekiel 18, it says the father shall not pay for the sins of the son, neither the son for the sins of the father. So is this a contradiction? No. The reason why they would pay later is because they are their forefathers coming back in the third or fourth generation. And this is what the apostles understood. And this is why they asked Yahushua, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? So if he was born blind, when did he sin? In his past life. You know, which that wasn't the case. But the point is, why did they ask that question? All right, so going back to Ecclesiastes 1:11 now, there is no remembrance of former things. And this is the point. Because the Lord blocked that part of our memory out. Because if we were, you know, to know who we were in the past, it would bug us out first and foremost. Second of all, we would be able to go to the grave site, you know, if there was a, you know, if we were put in a grave, in the past with a marker on it, and be able to go to the grave site and see the grave site where each and every one of us, you know, the life that we lived before, and be able to see it, you know. But the Lord took that out of our mind because that's not what's important. Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those which shall come after, right? And that's why we come back as newborn babies, which is, we're not really new. The spirit is old, the flesh is new, and then we have to be taught all over again. You see? So reincarnation is all throughout the scriptures. When we go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and 7, it says, behold, he cometh with clouds. Who's the he? Yahushua. What are the clouds? The chariots, what they call UFOs, UAPs, whatever they want to call them. And every eye shall see him. Because the people on the planet will see the Lord when he comes back. Because the heavens are going to be covered from one end of heaven to the other. It's going to be covered with the chariot of the Lord and the other chariots of the angels. And they also which pierced him. So the ones that pierced him, that was what, 2,000 years ago. And they're going to see him in this time when he comes back. So how are they 2,000 years old, 2,000 plus years old? Almost 2,000 years old? No. They are here again, and more than likely, they're either in the military or they're in some type of, police, there's some type of police, whatever capacity, because these were Roman soldiers back then that pierced him. And they're going to see the Lord, and it's going to be brought back into their mind that they were the ones that crucified the Lord. Just to show you, you know, that's reincarnation right there. Another one we can go to is the book of Revelation, chapter 10. And 10. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand, this is the Apostle John, and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he, the angel, said unto me, unto John, the revelator, John, the Apostle John, thou must prophesy again. Thou must prophesy again. Thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. There is no record of the Apostle John coming up off the island of Patmos, going and preaching. He was an old man at this time. He had to be, you know, in his mid to late 90s, you know, by this time. Because this is roughly around 96 AD, during the time of Domitian, you know, when he was banned, or he was put on the island of Patmos. So the Lord told him that he would prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So when did that happen? It didn't. It happened in this time. It's happening in this time. You know? So this is another example of reincarnation. The spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. And like I said, there's many more, but this guy Vocab, he's not going to get it because he's not a spiritual man. He is a carnal man. And he's an Edomite, unless he proves otherwise, that he might be a Hamite or something. That we don't foresee him as being a Jake. That possibly, no. No, he's either Edomite or of another nation. And his whole job is to, you know, continue to do what he does, to remove the shaky, the ones that are not grounded and settled. Those are the only ones that are going to be taken by his, you know, craft, because the scriptures say that if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. Because remember, the devil is very crafty. He was more subtle than any beast of the field, you know. So with that, I pray that you brothers and sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom. Oh, wait a minute. Brother put this, 2 Ezra 14:35, for after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Yeah, that's right. All right, shalom.